It is obvious this contest cannot be decided by our knowledge of the Force, but by our skills with a graphics card. Welcome back, I'm Dan, the Tech Jedi. Today we're going to talk about AMD and NVIDIA and their new graphics cards that are coming out in 2022. Which one should you get? What features are important to you and your gaming computer? Today we're going to break that down into 4 categories. Stick around. So what are the big differences between AMD and NVIDIA and their graphics cards? Well, I've narrowed it down to, I think, 4 main categories that will help you determine what is important to you when you're buying your next graphics card in your computer, and we'll go over that today. So the biggest things I want to talk about are performance, features, compatibility, and price. Now let's break this down for a minute. Performance is a huge thing. It might be the most important thing when you look for in your purchase of a graphics cards, especially with how expensive graphics cards are today. If you're paying, $300 usually at a minimum, all the way upwards to over $1,000, performance is probably the most important thing that you're looking at. So how does AMD and NVIDIA stack up against each other in performance? Well, if you're looking at strictly performance, when it comes to 1080p resolution and 1440p resolution, they compare very similarly in their price points. Now, if you're looking specifically at performance at or above 4K resolution, this is where NVIDIA really pulls ahead of AMD, and they usually have a huge win. So if you just care about saving money and you just care about gaming and you have a 1080p or 1440p resolution, I would highly encourage you to check out AMD's lineup in their resolution setup for that price tier. In the $350 to $500 range, you can get some tremendous value with the AMD RX 6650 XT and the 6700 XT, and we will cover those later. But if you're going at 4K and above, it is a clear-cut winner that NVIDIA is the right choice for you. Now, there is a price premium there, but I'm assuming if you're at that resolution that you actually are more focused on not caring about the price. So that's how performance lines up, in my opinion. Now, the features are the next topic I'd like to go over, and features are a little bit more of a choice for you and what is important to you. So let's cover AMD's features first, and we're going to cover kind of what those are and how they differ from NVIDIA's. So AMD's most notable feature is called FSR, or Fidelity Super Resolution. Now what this is in your games that you play, if the game supports FSR, what will happen is in your settings in the game, you can go ahead and turn on FSR, and it will actually help your frames go up and up to increase the performance without trying to make too big of a difference in the image that you're seeing on the screen. There is a lot of things that are happening in the background with this. They're basically sharpening images and realigning things in the background, letting your graphics card do that work for you, and that way you're not sacrificing too much of an image on your screen, but you're also getting a lot better performance than you would just at the native resolution. And there are a bunch of videos on the internet of FSR, and you can take a look and see if those games that you play support FSR and kind of what the performance increase you'll get if you use that in your game. Other things that AMD has is FreeSync. So FreeSync is basically a function in your monitor that helps the frame rate of the graphics card go to your monitor, and it basically makes it super smooth, in my opinion. It basically just helps match the frame rate to the graphics card of your monitor, if that makes sense. So for NVIDIA, they have different features. They have a feature similar. It's called DLSS, and what that is called Deep Learning Super Sampling. And there's DLSS 2.0 and 3.0 coming out of the new cards. What that is doing is it's taking an image in your game, and it's going to lower the resolution, but then upscale the resolution up. So you're essentially getting better performance On the back end, it's saying that it's a lower resolution than what you're running, but you really can't tell with the trained eye unless you really, really pay attention to know what you're looking for. NVIDIA also has something called ray tracing. Now, ray tracing is a huge controversial topic in the gaming community, whether or not you care about it or not. Both AMD and NVIDIA cards do support ray tracing, but NVIDIA's graphics cards actually have a much better optimization for ray tracing than AMD. So if ray tracing matters to you and if you know what it is, it's basically making the game reflect light in a very specific way to cast reflections at usually a huge performance hit. Now, those performance hits are getting better and better from NVIDIA at every generation that they're releasing, but there's probably still a long way to go. Most people I know don't really care about ray tracing. It is really cool, I think, but at the performance hit you're taking, if you're getting 100 frames and you do ray tracing and you're going down to 60 frames, that's a huge performance hit, for the image quality you're getting on screen for some fancy reflections and stuff. So is ray tracing for everybody? You'll have to make that decision. It really depends on, what's important to you if you look at or if that you notice that are in the types of games that you play. NVIDIA also has a feature set called G-Sync, which also matches their graphics cards to their monitors. If your monitor is G-Sync compatible, then it basically makes it extra buttery smooth, so there's no lag or frame chopping or something within your monitor. That also supports what is called variable refresh rate, where your monitor essentially will kind of match the graphics card rate, and it's not going to make your screen and your game very choppy and stuff. So let's talk about the next category, which is compatibility. Now, compatibility, both AMD and NVIDIA do a good job of ironing out the compatibility issues and the performance and the issues in their games. What I would say, it's impossible to declare really a winner between AMD and NVIDIA. Both their graphics cards drivers break and unbreak as software gets updated and patched. However, while GPU manufacturers release consistent firmware updates, software developers do not prioritize both manufacturers evenly. And I say that because there are more NVIDIA graphics cards out there than AMD graphics cards out there that people play, right? So usually developers will optimize their games for NVIDIA graphics cards first over AMD, which is kind of unfortunate, but until AMD gets more of the market share, if they can get more market share, it probably will stay that same for a long time. So for everyday, the biggest use in their compatibility, like I said, it really is ray tracing. Ray tracing is pretty much the most compatible, where NVIDIA actually pulls away from AMD greatly. Applications that support ray tracing, there's better optimization than AMD with their drivers for ray tracing. Which leads me to my last point. And if you guys like this content, go ahead and leave your comment below. I really would want to know what is the difference to AMD and NVIDIA in your experience. Have you had AMD graphics cards and NVIDIA graphics cards? What's your experience? Are the price, the compatibility, the features, or the performance, where do you guys lie with that? Leave a like and a comment below. I really want to get to know you guys and what your thoughts on the difference in them and which one you guys prefer. Right now I have a RTX 3080, and I'm actually thinking about going into getting my next card as an AMD card because I really want to see the difference, but we'll see. So as we finish up here, let's talk about price. So if we're comparing frame rates per dollar, right, AMD is the winner. Now, if you don't plan to use ray tracing and you don't see yourself doing much beyond gaming, then AMD definitely has a better value. And I say that in my opinion. Obviously, everybody has a different opinion. How much money you have, what you want to spend it on, ultimately is up to you. Both AMD and NVIDIA have great graphics cards. I'm not saying they don't, but NVIDIA still has the lead over AMD in lots of ways. So NVIDIA cards, after 2 years, have not gone below MSRP. They're still hovering right at MSRP. And there's a new generation of cards coming out here in December and January from NVIDIA, their RTX 4000 series. Now, AMD is also launching their 7000 series graphics cards in December and January. And we'll see how the pricing actually shapes up for both of these newest generations from these companies. But the old generations, the RX 6000 series and the NVIDIA Ampere 3000 series, it is a clear-cut winner that AMD's prices are below MSRP at this point. If you really care about, getting the most performance for your dollar, I would look at the AMD offerings and see what they have versus the NVIDIA offerings. But that's just my opinion. I wanted to see what you guys think. Team green or team red? What do you guys feel is important? Leave a comment. I'm going to try to get to every comment. And subscribe if you like the content. And as always, I hope you guys have a great day.